Hello everybody and welcome to episode 3 of Byte Azure. Today we're going to be going over how to add an external user into your Azure AD directory. And to do that we are going to need to go into Azure AD. And what we're going to do in this demo is we're going to add this chap who's Diego from a separate tenancy into the standard Azure tenancy that I have for demos. So if you see, if I just put in his name here, it's not there. So we're going to need to go and add him. So we click on new guest user, which gives us the option to create a user or invite a user. So we're going to select invite a user and we're going to enter in the name. And I really should have picked a slightly easier one to spell. And in the email address. I'm going to leave the last name out because I've picked a slightly interesting one to spell. Add a message in here. Now we can select which groups to add this user into. I'm going to leave this blank at the moment, but typically you probably have an external user group or you'd want to be restricting it to a certain client, partner, role, whatever it might well be. We don't want to block the sign-in because otherwise that would be a bit of a difficult demo to do. I'm going to select the location of UK and I can obviously add some information about job title, department, etc., etc. But that'll do for the time being. So I'll click on invite. You'll see that this is going away in the background. Now, what should be happening is that if I pop back into Diego's email and wait a few seconds, there we go, we'll see an invitation pop in, which basically there's, please accept the invite, which is the text I put in there. And there's a nice link down here to say accept invitation. So we select that. Have to accept the permissions warning here. So accept that. We'll wait for Azure AD to do its bits in the background. And then you get the default sort of apps landing page will show up. And you'll notice on this one, because we didn't assign any permissions or any apps, it's a blank page. But what we can do now is pop in here, just go switch directory, because this will just show that that's been completed. So we can click on the Microsoft Cloud blog, so click on switch. And just as a sort of a double check from the user perspective, you can see again, now they're in that directory, no subscriptions, nothing they can do because we didn't provide any, but that's in effect done. Now, if we pop back into the main tenant and I'll do a quick refresh on this page. What we should see now is that user will appear and AD has gone into this preview mode by default on my tenancy now, so I need to go and search because otherwise that user would have shown up at the top. And there we go. So that's the user we've invited. The user type is guest. The identity is managed by an external Azure AD instance because we're doing this basically from an Azure AD tenant to another Azure AD tenant, and the creation type is invitation. So that, at a very short and sweet overview, is how to invite an external user into your directory and what the user experience would look like for that external user, assuming that you hadn't set up things like MFA, etc., for guest users. So thank you very much for listening or watching, and if any questions, comments, etc., please feel free to leave them below or subscribe to like the video, etc. Thank you.